time to look back at the last Forge FC contest.
Simply stunning stuff. And finally, their goal.
Here is Match and Review.
My word, what a rocket.
With Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network.
Hello, Forge fans. It is the Forge Audio Network, the official home of your reigning, defending, undisputed Canadian Premier League champions, Forge FC. And in 2 weeks, at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, the reign could continue. Live in Hamilton. You could be there. Forge FC defeating Cavalry FC 2-1 in the 1v2 semi-final, punching their ticket to a fifth straight CPL final. I don't know if you're aware. The league has only been around for 5 years. Now, I know it's tricky to figure out. That means every year this league has been in existence, Forge FC have played in the final. And that trend will continue. How did we get here? How did we get to this point? By the way, my palms are sweating because that was 10 minutes of stoppage time. So much to talk about. And what a bizarre season this has been. Exhibit A. Pacific FC just completely and utterly collapsed in the final months of the regular season, dropping all the way down to fourth. Now they've won 2 straight playoff games somehow, the latest coming this afternoon in Halifax. Pacific was fortunate to score late and eliminate York in the play-in match. This afternoon, I'm going to give you some numbers, and you're going to think I'm lying to you. So Pacific beat Halifax 1-0 at Wanderers ground. Despite having 28% possession, they barely played. The Pacific barely touched the ball and beat Halifax on the road despite giving up. Halifax had 72% of the possession. They had a 0.93 expected goal rate. Pacific had a 0.36, and they won. And they're playing in their third playoff game next weekend. They will now travel to Cavalry, and the winner of that match will face Forge FC in the CPL final, which, by the way, will go down in 2 weeks, October 28th, a Saturday, 6 o'clock. Forge get a nice little bye week in there. Guys can rest up. You know, there's some bumps, there's some bruises, some fatigue. Get nice and fresh and try to win a final. Now, we're going to get more into what in a bit, I'm going to tell you who you need to cheer for between Cavalry and Pacific, because believe it or not, there is a right answer, and I'll tell you what it is shortly. But let's just figure out, let's backtrack. How did we get here? Coming into this match, by the way, Forge and Cavalry, they have played each other in the postseason 5 times in 4 seasons. Now 6 times in 5 seasons. And Cavalry have never beat Forge in the playoffs. Today was their 6th try. Not happening. Starting lineup for Forge FC, Taryn Campbell, Benny Badibanga, a bit of a different look for Forge in this one. Campbell and Badibanga kind of playing dual 9s on the attacking side of the ball. And Kyle Becker played a classic 10 role in the attacking midfield. Hojab Rapport, Noah Jensen, your midfielders, Rama, Poku, wingbacks, and the back line, Mandrakar James, 3-man back line, as has become a trend with this club late in the year. Mandrakar James, Alex Ashton, Yodi Hansen, and Garvin Matusala, Tristan Henry in goal, of course. Couple of big storylines, though, coming into this one. Borges, Chouanier, both available as subs. Chouanier, who's had terrible luck this year. So for the first time in a while, we got to see Chouanier not in civvies on match day and in uniform. He was available as a sub, first time in a while. You know how important he is to this club come playoff time. So great timing for him. The other storyline, no Woobens Pacius, not available for selection in this one. Before the match, Forge head coach Bobby Smirniotis told One Soccer that Woobs, quote, picked something up. Was it an illness? Was it a minor injury? But he needed further evaluation. So obviously a big loss. Pacius, the league's top goals per minute scorer. In terms of goals per minute, he is number one in the CPL. Not available in this one. First half, we get the classic, always enjoyable, really low camera angle at Atco Field. It's just a lovely camera angle, making it impossible, by the way, to see most of the action to the right side of the screen where that net is. I mean, if you watched it, you understand. It was pitch black, 5 to 8 yards into Forge's defensive. You couldn't see, when the ball went into that deep into the attacking third, you could not see a thing. Fortunately, it was because of a shadow being cast, but the sun passed. Okay, a minor inconvenience, but I had to point it out. I have to complain about something after a game like this. Forge very aggressive in their high press early. Both Campbell and Badi Banga putting pressure on the Cavalry backline. Jensen applying pressure as well, taking away time and space. Cavalry like to build from the back to maintain their attack. Cavalry tested Tristan Henry and Forge early. They had about 3 quality chances inside the first 5 minutes. And we talked about the fact that Cavalry, they were going to get opportunities. I mean, it would have been impossible to just completely stymie Cavalry to the point of not getting any opportunities or possession. But it was up to Forge to just minimize the quality and the damage of those chances while exploiting Cavalry's aggression and flipping the pitch with their counterattack. I like the mix, though. Remember, there's a fine line between, playing with tempo and energy, but also remaining disciplined and calm. There's a juxtaposition there. But there is a way to do both at the right time. It's difficult to do. Otherwise, everyone would just do it all the time. But it's why I said it was part of the 3 keys. It's why you have to value experience in these matches. Forge, they were aggressive with their high press, but also, they knew when to retreat if they had too many bodies high up the pitch. After Cavalry had some pretty good looks at the target early, Forge started to find their game. It was an interesting swing of momentum. Early on, Cavalry, they had the jump. They had the better of the opportunities, the looks. And then all of a sudden, by about the 6th minute, Forge started finding their game. And Kyle Becker loves playing at Spruce Meadows. And he was on the front foot all match. I mean, he is a villain. They hate Kyle Becker more than any other player in the league. And it is the highest compliment you can pay a pro athlete. And he loves it. And he embraces it. And he gets up to play Cavalry. A little surprising. Cavalry was defending very deep, challenging Forge to have to go from outside the area with some of their opportunities, some of their shots. And Forge took it. Sometimes you just have to take what's given to you. Let them know you're not afraid to challenge Carducci from distance. And maybe that works its way into your opponent's heads. Maybe it does. I think it did. First booking in this one went against Forge. Medricar James fouling Bevan, leading to a yellow in the 20th. And I did wonder how that might impact his game and how this game is coached. Because can he play the full 90 plus on a yellow card that early? A guy like James brings that physicality every time the ball's around him. But, after a booking, you do have to exercise a little bit of caution. How does that impact his game? Cavalry, though, would see a yellow themselves on the 26th minute. Camargo knocking Badi Banga down from behind. And the protest is what earned him the booking. The foul, though, just 35 yards from goal. Badi Banga stepped up with his free kick. He missed the target, but he's dangerous in those opportunities. And this is what I'm talking about with it. Those early attempts Forge took right off the hop. You're going to give us space. Sure, it's from distance, but we're going to have at it, and we're going to keep pressing. If you're a Cavalry now, regardless of the game plan, if you're a player, that weighs on you. You don't like seeing shots going toward your target. It's nature. It's a human. It's just a response. You don't like seeing it over because your heart skips a little bit, and that plays on you mentally. And now you start getting a little more anxious as Forge players have the ball from distance. In this case, Badibanga, this was a needless foul. Instead, you put him in a great spot. You know how good he's been off set pieces. This one didn't go. But if you're going to keep giving those kinds of opportunities, I love the fact that they took the space that was given and started shooting early from distance. You're not even necessarily trying to score. You're trying to send a message in a way. Like, we're not afraid to go from here. And I mentioned Cavalry just looking less and less comfortable as the half wore on. And you wonder, coming into this match, Cavalry had plenty to be confident about. The way this season ended, the way it went, just complete domination over the last few months from Cavalry FC. They've lost one set home this year. That was back in June. So they had to be feeling great when they stepped on the field and the ball was kicked off. But does that energy you get from that adrenaline rush from that, does it slowly wear off, and does the realization settle in that this is Forge? This is a team we cannot beat in the playoffs. The pressure is now on us to deliver. All Cavalry's been hearing all week long is about their playoff record versus Forge's playoff record, never having beating for. It has to be in the back of your head. And so I just wonder, that initial adrenaline rush weaned, and it was like, the pressure's on us now. And they looked uncomfortable. Forge on the front foot, they get an opportunity for a corner at the near flag. Becker delivers, I don't even know, the most perfect swinging cross you could ever deliver. Off the foot of Kyle Becker. Alessandro Hojabrepor just creating chaos in the area. He had 3 players around him, just creating havoc. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to be the one to get up and head the ball on a corner or touch the ball or be that involved. Sometimes just being in the right spot, creating a little bit of chaos, drawing some attention. In this case, it leads to the opening goal. Carducci goes to punch the ball. Ball bounces off of, I don't know, could have been Hojabrepor, could have been the Cavalry defender. They gave Hojabrepor credit early. It may have been switched to an own goal. It doesn't matter. Whether it went off Hojabrepor or not, he is the reason that this sequence happened, and the reason Carducci had to misplay it by punching it instead of catching it. It was chaos. Chaos in the area. And, you talk about it's not even just being it's active bodies in the box. Hojabrepor was active, got his head on it. And how many big goals has this guy? He has 2 CPL finals goals. This one, again, whether he gets credit or not, this has to go up there with some of just his clutch. But he steps it up this time of year. He just does. And I've already mentioned Kyle Becker and his role in this, because he loves playing the villain. That cross, that delivery, the jump he had all game. And by the way, he does figure in pretty significantly. He has to be the player of the match. I didn't see officially who the man of the match was. If it's not Becker, there's something went wrong there. And there was a moment before half. Tristan Henry. You want to talk about goalkeeping school. There's a corner from Cavalry right before half, similar to what happened on the other side where Forge scored to go up 1-0. Henry shoots off his line. He doesn't punch it, though. Puts his body on the line, risks. You got to listen, there's a lot of courage and bravery that goes into shooting off your line like that on a corner. You're probably going to get hit. There's probably going to be some contact. In this case, though, Henry, fearless, does exactly what he was taught to do, shoots out, gets up higher than everyone else, and catches it into his chest and then lands on his stomach. And Forge goes into half Up 1-0, could not have scripted it any better. Expected goals. So here's the story and how Forge defended in this one. Ball possession, 59% in favor of Cavalry. So nearly 60% in that half. But expected goals from Cavalry, 0.27. Forge, 0.51. All that possession, next to no expected goals. And that tells you that Forge was doing their job defensively. They were allowing Cavalry to possess, but they were limiting dangerous opportunities toward the goal. Just clinical defending from Forge. And you could see the body language from Cavalry, by the way, going into the half. The start, they had all those good feelings. They already started deteriorating. Then that goal goes in, and it's just deflated. Crowd, the chanting stops. You could hear a pin drop as the players walked into the tunnel. And now it was up to Cavalry to regroup and for Forge to just play their game. What a great feeling that is to prepare all week and just execute it just so perfectly. Being in this position and have Forge just had to feel good, feel confident. And it's a good, when you can go into half and say, we got to play the exact same way we just did, that means a lot is going right. And that's a good feeling. So you wondered though, Cavalry was going to have to eventually start taking chances. And that's where if you're Forge, you're now looking to add to your lead you don't have to make risky plays. You can do it with a counter. You can attack safely without leaving yourself susceptible on the back end. And that's made a lot easier when the other team starts to press. 50th minute, 5 minutes into the second half, the Foot Soldiers, that's the name of the Cavalry supporter group, they had a front row seat to the best player this league has ever seen. Captain Kyle Becker, after a wonderful play by Rizard Rama near the Cavalry goal line, he delayed and it just timed a pass perfectly, bouncing into Noah Jensen inside the area, who, with his high soccer IQ, recognizes Becker making a clear run down the heart of the attacking third. And number 10 does what he does. Does what he always does. What he does in the playoffs. What he does against Cavalry. He delivers. Bearing a right-footed shot to the top corner. He put his arms out in all of his glory. Walked toward the Cavalry supporters. His Becker's teammates joined him. And they had a nice little celebration. 2-0 Forge FC. Stunning turn of events for Cavalry and their fans. 54th minute, Mandrakar James subbed off. Remember, he was sitting on a yellow and in danger of missing the final. He gets subbed for Dominic Samuel. And, you have a 2-goal lead. There's still plenty of time left, but there's a little more flexibility in what you can do with your subs. You can take you can take James off, and you can put Samuel on, and you feel good about it. And I immediately thought of David Chouanier and how the club can find a way to get him some match reps because he's missed so much time. So do you risk putting him out in a close game if he's not 100%? If he is 100%, does he need some just live game action heading into a final? Because you know how important he is to this club when he's 100%. So 2-goal lead, a lot more flexibility. And I thought it was Cavalry had some. There was an opportunity for Cavalry. Ali Musi he took a free kick just outside the area, and he's a great player, and that's a dangerous spot for him. But he missed wide. A large segment of the crowd thought it had gone in to the point. Like I started laughing. The roar of cheer that came out in the stadium, I started questioning what I saw. I'm like, maybe I didn't see it. Maybe it isn't. I've never heard a crowd cheer that loud for that long on what was not a goal that went wide. Nevertheless, score remains 2-0 for Forge. Some subs: Noah Jensen, Kwesi Poku off, Jordan Hamilton, Malik Oluwabi-Belawu on the pitch to try to close this one out. And with Hamilton and Campbell on the field at the same time, that changes how things look. I mean, you have two traditional strikers out there together, and Badi Banga can hang back a little bit and maybe play more of an advanced midfield role. And also knowing Cavalry is going to press, perhaps Forge looking for more center targets on the counter. There was, Becker did not, in the 72nd minute, he hit another clean shot, and he rarely misses with his right foot when he's that close. But Carducci made a great stop, but we were inches away from lights out at Atco Field. 76th minute, I marked this one down. Badi Banga dribbling past the Cavalry fullback. He made a move to get by the defender. He got taken down inside the area. Just because a team's up 2-0 doesn't mean they no longer get PK calls. He was taken down in the area he didn't have the ball. It doesn't mean fouls are no longer fouls because a team is up 2-0. I can guarantee you that if the foul happened at the other end, the club trailing by 2 goals would have absolutely been awarded a penalty kick, undoubtedly. But okay, it's 2-0. Not the end of the world. Might not cost them. Sure enough, 4 minutes later, Cavalry gets on the board. They cut the lead in half. A corner off the left foot of Moosey. It's played to the near post. Joe Mason gets his head on the ball. It's 2-1, and we have ourselves a game. Forge, they made some more changes. Guess who? Big game Dave David does see the field. He replaces Campbell. Sissoko enters the game for Hojat Rapport, who also went down with an injury. And the city of Hamilton is minutes away from hosting a football championship of a different kind, different from the other football championship we're seeing this year in Hamilton. Now, there were 7 minutes of added time, but it was closer to 10 because there were more stoppages throughout stoppage time. So, 10 minutes, you had to hold your breath. Cavalry certainly got some chances. But Forge was selling out to preserve this lead. At one point, I counted a total of 18 bodies inside the Forge area, just trying to get in the way on Cavalry's part, trying to get a deflection or a goal, and Forge was trying to block. Homeside did have several opportunities from the corner flag and stoppage time as well, but in the 96th minute, I made a note of a throw-in because Coach Bobby has been taught. It's one of my favorite lines from him. He always, when you ask him what the most important part of any game is, he always says the throw-in. The throw-in is the most important part of any match. It is those seemingly small, minute parts of a game that they're little linchpins throughout the game, and they steer the ship and they get you where you need to be. 96th minute, Forge awarded the throw-in. Cavalry, I talked about they had a lot of possession this match, but in those final 4 minutes, you looked at it and said, okay, Forge has this. They're in control. Because it was off of that throw-in, they were able to gain possession, get the ball deep, and really just slow down Cavalry's attack. So there is your all-important throw-in, really solidifying things for the final 4 minutes, and Forge hanging on for victory. At the end of the day, ball possession certainly went Cavalry's way at 64%. But despite the 64%, they had only 3 shots on target. Forge had 7. They were more efficient. They were just sure of themselves, confident. They knew exactly what they came to do. And they just, the execution tactically was, it was expert level execution. Expert level execution. That is what Forge FC gave us. And what a bizarre year. All I've been hearing, everyone who has approached me and engaged me to talk about Forge, they have talked about how this season was disappointing. What's going on with them? They don't look right. Oh my gosh, what's gone wrong this year? They finished in second place. I just want to remind you. And now they're playing in yet another CPL final. That game again is Saturday, October 28th. 6 o'clock. You realize you have to be there. You can't. You're going to miss a CPL final at Tim Hortons Field. That's your plan? That's what you're going to do? You're going to miss it? Look, I don't want to tell you how to live your life. I'm just recommending that you be a part of history, of Hamilton sports history. I teased it a little bit earlier. There is a right answer. Who are you going to cheer for on the 21st of October when Cavalry hosts Pacific in another semifinal? There's a right answer. Now, you might be thinking, well, it's Pacific. It has to be Pacific because they beat us at home in the CPL final a couple years ago. We can get that terrible taste out of our mouths. There's just there's a revenge factor to it. Also, I think Pacific is an easier matchup for Forge at this point of the year. I mean, Pacific just won a game with 28% possession. That is the team I want to play in a final. However, you can't cheer for Pacific. You have to cheer for Cavalry. Strategically, Cavalry FC, this league has 2 spots next year in CONCACAF. First spot goes to the regular season champion. That is Cavalry. Second spot goes to the CPL champion. Now, if Forge and Cavalry are in that CPL final, what happens if Cavalry wins? Well, they already have a spot. They're not going to get 2 spots. That makes no sense. That other CONCACAF spot would go to Forge FC because they finished in second place. So if Forge hosts Cavalry in the final, no matter what happens, Forge will get a spot in CONCACAF play next year. If they play Pacific, they'd have to win to get it. Obviously, that's the easier matchup. I'm just saying from a strategic standpoint, I think it has to be Cavalry. And that is no, I don't think that's the correct answer. You're welcome. All right, listen, we've got a big match coming up in a couple of weeks. You know we're going to have you covered. You know Mackenzie's going to have you covered. Might hear from Kyle Becker because he's a podcaster now. You'll definitely hear from Bobby Smirniotis. But the only place to guarantee that you're going to get all of that Forge content is the Forge Audio Network. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and you can subscribe. You can follow us on all the social media channels. It's all there on YouTube, wherever you get your multimedia content. We are there to deliver your final one last time, 2-1 Forge over Cavalry. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your extra week off because we don't play again for a couple of weeks. And we will talk to you very, very soon.
This has been Match in Review with Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network. For the latest on all things Forge FC, subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.